Hi, friends. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Katie, and welcome to Okay, But Did You Know? A podcast where we talk about the TV and media that we love with a friend who's never seen it before.
Today we're recapping and chatting about Once Upon a Time, episode 116, Heart of Darkness. This episode aired on March 18th, 2012. It was written by Ian Goldberg and Andrew Chambliss and was directed by Dean White. Was I keep saying, really cool lighting? It's probably Dean White. He's good at that. So before we get into our chaotic recapping and chatting, let's go over a synopsis for the episode. In the Enchanted Forest. After drinking the potion she got from Rumpelstiltskin, Snow has not only forgotten Charming, but all the love in her heart. Determined to help her remember who she is, Charming makes a deal to find Snow and stop her from darkening her heart by killing Regina. True love always finds one another, and just as he's able to remind Snow of who she is, King George's men catch up with him and take Charming back to the king. Now it's Snow's turn to find him. And in Storybrooke, Mary Margaret has been arrested, and now that the tests for the heart came back positive for Catherine, evidence against her is growing by the minute. The box the heart was found in was her jewelry box, and the murder weapon was found in the heating vent in her bedroom. Emma is certain that someone is framing Mary Margaret, and she'll stop at nothing to prove her friend's innocence. The skeleton keys may not be enough to pin this on Regina, but that won't stop Emma from trying. So I will preface this episode with Lauren watched this on a Friday evening, and that's all she's going to say about that. So she has told Katie, and she's confirmed by rereading her notes, that these notes are not that helpful. They're funny, but they are not very helpful.
I don't know how much mine are going to help either, because this episode was interesting.
This was a fun one, I gotta say. I really enjoyed this one.
Because, like, the first 5 seconds, I'm like, ooh, Red is a badass.
Well, Red can control her wolf now, so now we get to see her literally just attack people.
It was well, they showed the moon, so, like, now that she knows at least.
They show the moon, and then they show her eyes start to glow, and then all of a sudden we hear howling and screaming. And then also, I don't know if you noticed, at the very end, when the guards catch up to him, the guard that captures him has scratches across his face.
I did notice that. I was like, when did he get scratched? I completely forgot about Red until this moment.
He got attacked by a wolf.
I did have a note. I'm like, Snow's hair looks better.
I told you the wigs get better.
It did get better. I'm very, very grateful for that. But I really love that little entrance of, like, Snow in the beginning. I did have the moment of, did they CGI this bird too? Which I'm sure they did.
Yes, if it's bright blue, that's not a natural tone, I think, for even bluebirds. I don't think that's possible.
I don't think it is either. But I just kind of loved, we got that, like, actual Snow White-esque moment until she tried to kill the bird. But
well, it's funny either way.
It's so funny. I love Jennifer Goodwin.
She's so good in this.
You'll like this note. I didn't have a Snow White intervention on my bingo card.
Yeah, we got Jiminy Cricket, the therapist. Still, I think he's a better therapist as a cricket than he is as a person, quite frankly.
There's less laws around it.
I think so, yeah. There's less, confidentiality laws. But also, I think, to be fair, as Jiminy Cricket, he has a lot more years of experience than, in theory, Archie Hopper does. Like, Archie Hopper is an adult in our world. Jiminy Cricket, he was an adult when he got turned into a cricket, when Geppetto was a child. So he's easily like 120 years old.
Easily. I gotta look at the timeline again. Like, what's going on here?
You know what? Let me double check my timeline. Let's be real. Let's be quick here.
Let's make sure we're not, like, expecting Jiminy Cricket to be, too old.
Let's say he was 30 when he got turned into cricket. So yeah, he's okay. So 120 might be a bit much. He's easily 70 years old.
70's still up there, though. You start to slow down a little bit when you reach your 60s and 70s.
Not Jiminy Cricket.
Well, I mean, he's so tiny. I don't think a cricket lives that long either, though.
No, they don't. But that's the thing, is he's a cricket. He will live for as long as he needs to help Geppetto.
Yes.
Whatever that means.
I did have this note of, like, oh my god, well, that escalated because she's just like, I'm gonna go kill the queen. But then I had that moment of, like, I like Violent Snow a lot.
The only thing that really would have made Violent Snow better is if she had an accent. I don't think I've ever heard Jennifer Goodwin use an accent, though.
I don't think I have either. But the whole episode, I'm just kind of sitting here like, I have feelings for Snow White now.
I've always had feelings for Snow White.
I guess for me, she really was too nice to start off with. Katie has a type. I like a mean girl. You sent me Delilah Green. Hello?
I did send. No, actually, no. I didn't send you Delilah. I
No,
sent you
you
Astrid.
didn't. You sent me Astrid. I'm sorry, but still, I read Delilah Green because of you.
This is true.
And
I sent you the second book in that
you
series.
did, and I need to get the third one. But that's what I had that moment, like watching this episode of like, Lauren knows. I like a mean girl.
I mean, I've always been a villain girly. This is not news. What is it that I said about Regina in the first episode of this podcast is that there is not a whole lot about her to like in the first season, other than she's hot and mean.
I like when they're hot and mean.
I mean, so do I. I mean, I like when they have more roundedness to their characters, but like maybe, I mean, I've never had this deep-seated hatred for Snow White that other people seem to have had.
Why do people hate her?
I don't know if I don't remember if I've said this before on this podcast, because at this point, the things I say on here and on my TikTok account sometimes get muddled, so I have no idea where I've said anything anymore. In a show with so many really strong female characters, with really strong women that are very like, you know, the epitome of like, I'm gonna grab the sword and go do things, and like all of this other stuff. For more of the show as it goes on, Snow White has a tendency in the realm of those female characters to kind of represent traditional family values, which a lot of people read as anti-feminist. And in my opinion, reading traditional family values as anti-feminist is in itself anti-feminist.
I have to agree with you. I'm a stay-at-home mother. There's the opinion of within feminism that like, well, if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're doing what you would have done in the 50s. And I'm like, no, incorrect. I choose to do this. I want to do this. This is not, well, I also can't get a job. I've tried. No one's hiring.
The job market sucks.
The job market sucks. So this is what I'm doing now. Instead, I'm going to sit here and take care of my children and talk about my favorite TV shows. So, it is what it is. But the point of feminism was having the choice. The point of being able to be whoever you wanted to be. Stay-at-home mom is still on that list. A housewife can still be on that list. It's the fact that you get the choice to do it, not have to do it.
Exactly. I think it's that predominantly. I think people tend to do that, and people as just a general community fandom, and not just Once Upon a Time, but the fandoms in general, or just fandom culture, is always more critical of female characters than male characters, just in general.
You say that, and I'm sitting here like, what the fuck is August doing?
One of the things I wrote down that doesn't make any sense anymore is, ooh, there's foreshadowing about August. I have no idea what I'm referencing in that note. I really wish I did.
Me too.
Yeah. The stance with Snow representing traditional family values, people forget she's the one who drew the sword in the pilot. So yes, a good chunk of her motivation for this show is, the safety of her family and her, her relationship and her children. Yes, that does represent traditional family values in the realm of this show. But she is not devoid of the other characteristics that people like to, raise up for being really strong feminist characters. And I personally just think she's really entertaining to watch. This is like, I always say I'm biased when it comes to actors that I like. I love Ginnifer Goodwin. I don't think I've hidden that in the entirety of this podcast.
God, no.
So my love of her is definitely going to, change the way I view the character and critique the character. But, I don't see why people don't like her. I see why, but like, I'm like, this doesn't bother me, which is fair. We are all allowed to have our own opinions. Something I say on my TikTok a lot is, I said this in a video one time and I had to ask someone, I recommend you watch this section of the video again, because they asked me basically to justify my opinion, and I don't like doing that. I was like, if you don't, it was a smash or pass video.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, if you disagree with the stances that I take, that is because you are you and I am me. We have two very different opinions because we are two very different people. That is all I'm going to say about this. If you don't like my answer, do not ask me why. Someone asked me why. I'm like, I invite you to watch the section about opinions again.
Just go back and redo that. Because
exactly, just go back to the beginning.
We have the discussion so much in the book community that reading is subjective. Someone else is going to, like, you predominantly read romance. That's what you really love. I enjoy it at times. I predominantly like fantasy. We're not always going to like the same things. But that's why reading is subjective. People seem to forget that media itself is subjective. Do I like watching The Bachelor? No, thank you. Do I like watching horror movies? Yes, please. We are the opposite in that one.
I was going to say, flip that. There are some horror movies that I like, but flip that. I'm like, I'm good to go.
Mhm.
Give me The Bachelor, give me 90 Day Fiance, give me all of the the terrible, like, I call it crap television. It's my crap television. I
Yeah.
can call it that. But like, it's the entertainment that I want some days.
And that's I feel like that's okay. I just need people to
Mhm.
remember that media itself is subjective. That's why we
Yep.
have so much of it. That's why we have so many options because there's an audience for everything. We even said at the beginning, if we like what we're watching so much to talk about it, there's other people out there that do. And now we know that. Um
By the time we've recorded this episode, the podcast has gone live, so we do actually have feedback now.
we finally have feedback. Even though this episode will be some time until it's out, but
Yeah, we're recording these like 3 months in advance.
yeah, it took 30 episodes to get to this point.
Yay.
But even down to that media itself, the characters you
Mhm.
love, the aspects of the show, everyone's going to have different opinions about it. Just like
Mhm.
the Bob's Burgers. I have to use that as an example because I see more of
Yeah.
that fandom.
Mhm.
So many people like yourself hate Teddy. Hate Teddy. Some people
Cannot stand him.
love Teddy.
And that's their prerogative, and they're allowed to.
Exactly.
I'm never gonna hate them for liking a character that I dislike because what is the
Mhm.
point in that?
But why get so upset about what somebody else likes? That's not harming
Mhm.
anybody.
Yep. I've never been a big fan of anti-fandoms because I like, why take so much energy in hating something when you can take that same energy in enjoying another
Yep.
aspect of that media?
Okay, so I did take other notes like of lines where I was like, "Ooh, this means something," and I was right.
There were so many good lines in this episode.
He kept saying, "I'm invested in your future," and I'm like, "I know why, because you can see the future."
He says that a lot. I think I wrote that one down too. I think he wrote that. I think he said that in Price of Gold. I think.
It was funny too
Oh,
because he said it twice in this episode. The one that got me that I was like, "This means something," is when I wrote down the line when he said, "If you can bottle love, you can do anything."
oh yeah, that's a
And I
very
was
heavy-handed line.
very heavy-handed line, and then of course he does by the end bottle
Mhm.
love, which is very
Yep.
interesting because it's very obviously Charming and Snow have true love.
Mhm.
And I'm just sitting there the whole time. This is when I started texting you because as soon as I saw that at the end, I start texting you of like, I need to watch the next one now. And I can't.
No, you cannot.
Um, so as soon as we're done with these episodes, I am editing and jumping straight back into this for the next one because I am excited.
And this is Lauren's moment of victory that she has just converted her friend into a oncer. If only briefly, you may change your mind, but for right now, you're so invested that you want to jump right in, and it makes me so happy.
I feel like I've done that with you with Bob's though. You've had your
Oh
moments
yeah.
of like, oh my god, this is really funny. I need to keep going. And I'm like, haha,
Mhm.
you have to wait.
You.
Look, my revenge though is still Nude Beach, and I stand by this. I cannot wait. I had a moment, I'm not sure why I wrote this at this moment. I just have in all caps, what is happening? Don't ask me why. I don't remember. It's between where I wrote down the quote, if you can bottle love, you can do anything. And then
Uh-huh.
under this, it just says, if Lauren doesn't recite a line to me for this episode, she's wrong.
I mean, I wrote down a bunch. This is not an episode where I've got full scenes memorized. I think the next one that I have full scenes memorized for, is 118. Which, honestly, the fact that I really only have 1.5 from that episode is shocking. But I think it's because I watch it with commentary so much that
Mhm.
I don't hear the lines.
This episode just has the best lines.
This one has so many, and truthfully, my favorite is just staring me in the face. Is, "You're lucky it wasn't that mug you call a face."
Yes! I was like, be mean. I also
I
enjoyed
love
getting
it.
I enjoyed getting some grumpy because
Yes, we had Grumpy, the voice of reason.
I know I still need to latch on to a different character, which will
Yes.
come in the future, but I still love Leroy.
I know.
Uh, his memories getting mixed and muddled.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm sitting here in that moment of like, don't fuck up. Don't say something stupid. Only for him to go and say something fucking stupid.
Yeah, exactly. I wrote down the botched hypnotherapy. David deserves a refund for that.
He does, but I even wrote, I'm like, I know his memories were muddled, but Mary Margaret was right. She always stood by his side when people thought he was the murderer. And then he
Mm-hmm.
was just like, did you do this? I'm like, dude, shut up.
David, I get that it's hard to process the feelings, but maybe question why her hair is so long in that memory.
Exactly. I was like, she has a long ass hair and a pixie cut. What are you doing? it was just,
He's
it
not
was,
thinking straight.
but it was also funny because just a few scenes before that, he did the whole thing, you appreciate action more than words. And I wrote the line down. I put, do I love this man too? And then he went and did that. So I was like, never mind.
No, we don't.
I was so angry. At that moment, I was like, oh, it's so romantic. It's so sweet. You're converting me. I don't know how. But in that same moment, like, then he does the stupid thing. And I'm like, shut up, you dumb man. Shut up.
Snow and Charming will forever be referred to by the fandom as the two idiots. So
I stand. Yeah, I can stand by that. I'm okay with
Mhm.
this. I got really excited when the keys came into play.
The skeleton keys, yeah.
I
There's
was
no
very
reason why
happy.
any of those should fit in that door, but still.
Well, the last one was a little skinny.
Yeah, but it still had things that shouldn't have fit in that keyhole.
It shouldn't have surprised me, but I did write in all caps that Catherine was dead because I was like, it could be anybody. It's a heart.
Mm,
But it doesn't surprise me, but it was also, okay,
yeah.
she is actually dead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. R.I.P.
And then my last couple of lines that I wrote is like when Emma goes to see when Emma goes to see Mr. Gold, and of course she's
Yeah.
like, it's Regina, and he goes, and this surprises you? I was like,
Yeah.
damn. He doesn't hold back.
No, he doesn't. I wrote down, that's a ridiculously ornate lamp to have for no reason.
Yeah,
Like
it is.
he's polishing the genie lamp. Like we get the reference. Also, apparently, I got this from the wiki, and I didn't actually go back to check it, but I believe them. In one of the shots, Mr. Gold is wearing a wedding ring because Robert Carlyle forgot to take his off.
Aw, okay, but that's kind of sweet.
It's adorable.
Which goes with my last line. The last thing I wrote down in all caps was he bottled love, and I cannot wait to see what is done with that.
Yeah, stuff's gonna happen with that. That's all I can say about that.
I know.
Well, because like let's go back into the line of I'm invested in your future.
Yes.
So the last time I believe last time we heard that was with Cinderella.
Mm-hmm.
Rumpelstiltskin, and I think I said this before also about him being in the cell. He can see the future. He knows where he's supposed to be when he's supposed to be for the things he wants to happen. He's invested in Cinderella's future because he knows that her getting pregnant is going to want her to go back on the deal and cause them to imprison him. So he knows what needs to happen, where he needs to be, when it needs to happen. He's pulling the strings. He's the he's the marionette puppeteer. He's doing everything.
And we know that he knows about the curse and everything before it because
Yep.
he tells Regina that. So he could literally while poor David only has some memories kind of going back and forth.
Yeah.
Rumpel's got them all. Mr. Gold has everything.
He's got them all, and I will say, him knowing and when he knows is a contentious thing in the fandom, so I will say this. I will clear this up, and I have receipts that I can't talk about specifically here, but people know what I'm talking about.
That's fair.
Mr. Gold is awake the entirety of the Storybrooke stuff of Season 1. Whether we know or not, he's awake the entire time. However, he is not awake during the entirety of the curse. He wakes up, because the very first thing we hear from him in the pilot, from Mr. Gold, is, Emma, what a lovely name. He wakes up when she says her name. That's his trigger.
Oh, that's cool. Because I remember, because of course he's told her name when he's in the cell.
Mm-hmm. So there's something going on, because Rumpelstiltskin and names, there's something going on with names. So
that's so cool. That's actually really good writing.
It is, and there'll be a bigger there is kind of a reveal of like, oh, that's what it was. But like honestly, the reveal of it isn't a major spoiler, so I'm not telling you when that happens. And also just the fact that her name wakes him up.
That's impressive.
That's good.
That is good.
Because I think that's a case of like, you can figure that out as soon as like you basically once you realize that he's awake in Storybrooke the entire time. I think that really was the natural conclusion a lot of people came to, was her name is what woke him up.
It's like, this isn't a theory. Like, this makes sense. This makes sense.
I would say that's the natural conclusion, and yet people argue with me about this.
But it makes sense because Emma's supposed to be what fights the curse. So if she shows up and somebody as powerful as Rumpelstiltskin, who is like, I'm sure it's the debate of who's more powerful, Regina or Evil Queen or Rumpelstiltskin, like, he's powerful enough that something as simple as hearing Emma's name or meeting her is going to bring everything back for him.
Oh yeah.
But those were my notes. They were a little chaotic. But oh my god.
Yeah, it was a good episode.
It was so good. This was one that I like, it kept me engrossed the entire time.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's what we want to see.
Yeah.
I have multiple issues. I'm not issues, but like just stuff that I wrote down at the very beginning of A. According to the mugshot wall, Mary Margaret is 5'6", which honestly feels weirdly tall.
It does.
To be fair, she is wearing her shoes, which plays into my next note of if Emma arrested Mary Margaret last night, why is she just now booking her in the morning? Like again, the show allows time for her to go home and change. They do a lot
Mm-hmm.
of bad things happen at night, but we don't deal with them until the daylight hours.
I
Because she's wearing a different outfit than when she technically got arrested.
Oh, she is.
She was wearing just like a regular pink pullover sweater, and now she's wearing a blouse with like a cardigan.
I would like to ask again, how is Bob's Burgers better with their continuity than Once Upon a Time?
Look, it's not. They're not hiding that it was the next day. It's just weird writing that they put it in the
Yeah,
next day.
you get what I'm saying.
Like
It's
everyone's wearing different clothing.
there's so many parts where you're like, this doesn't make sense. But then we watch Bob's Burgers. We're like, oh yeah, that checks out.
Yeah. So I did love Snow is humming. She's humming very specifically with a smile in a song, which is from Snow White. You know, I even know how this one goes? Because have I ever done my Snow White voice for you?
Yes. Well, for me specifically.
I'll say the animated one.
Oh, it's been a while, but I think you have.
Yeah, it's been a while. With a smile and a song. There you go. That's best as much as I can do.
That was very impressive.
It's an impression that I've been able to do for a long time.
I can't get my voice that high.
I was a soprano 1 in high school. What can I say? So I just love that because they're on ABC, they can do that. They can make these very specific references to stuff, such as the jewelry box being modeled after the heart boxes from the animated Snow White. I think it's just cool. I think that's just very cool. Yeah,
I haven't exactly watched the animated Snow White in a really long time. I'm thinking about 20 years. Oh God, I gotta stop talking about my age.
It's okay. I mean, I haven't watched it recently. I think I tried doing a Disney Princess watch through, but honestly, just hearing her voice, you know, someday my prince will come. Like, there's only so much I can listen to that. My apologies to anyone listening to this.
I don't think I've ever shown my daughter Snow White, and if I had, so maybe not that long. Maybe I did. Maybe at some point I've tried to show Autumn, but she's never really been big on the Disney princesses. So
that's okay.
Even watching the classics, and of course, my favorite being Beauty and the Beast. That's what we've watched. I definitely made sure to watch Beauty and the Beast.
I can't imagine why.
Oh, I have no idea. I used to watch it in French with her.
As
a toddler.
I wrote down, I didn't like highlight it as a line, but I still wrote down, I know what it's like to lose someone you love. Put me in a dark place. Yeah, one could say that, Queenie.
Yeah.
That's what I said. One could say a dark place.
That sounds, yep, dark place. You cursed an entire world.
Just slightly. You know, we've established you don't curse an entire realm to sadness for 30 years if you have healthy coping skills.
Yeah. And I mean, she still has her collection too, you know, in the mausoleum and all of that stuff.
She does.
So,
she does have them. We don't know how many hearts are in there, though, to be fair. Just because she's got the wall does not mean that there's like that many hearts in there, because we've seen instances.
There are hearts.
There are hearts, or at least there was at least one. To be fair, empty until proven used is what I'm going with. I'm being intentionally difficult for no particular reason right now.
Damn it! I can't tell you to shush. The point of this is to talk.
Exactly. I quite literally cannot shut up. That's the point of this.
Oh my goodness.
But I did want to talk a little bit about, I have other notes that are funny because I'm going to take us into a geology lesson in a little bit. But I know. We talk about like I find the most random stuff for this podcast because I just find it really funny.
I didn't know I was going to get a geology lesson.
Yeah. But, you know, so we have what I call in our scripts, once upon a catchphrase. Every time a through line theme or a line that comes up a lot will come up in the show, I like to put that in. So, you know, with I Will Always Find You, I did take a counter of how many times I say that in this episode. Weirdly enough, it was only 2.
Weirdly enough.
I thought it was more. You know, I've done that with, you know, All Magic Comes With a Price, you know, Love is Weakness, like stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So this week's Once Upon a Catchphrase is Evil Isn't Born, It's Made. Yes. Which is what Regina says to David in their scene after he interrupts her while she's peeling an apple very delicately.
Isn't that also when he, you know, I think I forgot about this note. I said, he really told Regina she doesn't know about evil.
he likes to believe the best in people. I mean,
He
I give him that.
does.
And like it's evil isn't born, it's made is a thing that I honestly forgot was a direct line from the show because so much of like the writers or the actors would just say that as a theme of the show because that really is what it is. With so many of the villains as the show will go on, there's usually some kind of redeeming backstory. Usually, like we saw with Rumple, he was doing everything for his son. With
Son.
Regina, we'll see what happened with Regina very soon. In 2 episodes, and
Mm.
Lauren's been teasing it for months. We'll see, with other villains that pop up throughout the show, because there's many. Because just having one villain the entire show isn't as much fun. They I say almost all of them have redeeming backstories.
Almost.
I say almost. Again, not a teaser, but just really, really freaking funny. And also, you'll probably forget this by the time we get to her. The one villain that they really couldn't write a redeeming backstory for, and I don't fault them for, is Cruella de Vil.
No,
They're really
no redeeming backstory. She's perfect the way she is.
There is no redeeming backstory for I only wish to make a goat made out of puppies.
You can't redeem that. Now, I know I just said she's perfect the way she is.
I mean,
but we have established
she is just a really terrible
we
person.
like evil women.
She is really terrible. She has a British accent. I mean, because they go all out with Cruella. It's really, really
as they
should.
Funny.
Like, see, I told you I'd find a reason to use the accent.
I knew you would.
This isn't even the voice. Technically, like when I'm all the way down here, this is the Cruella voice. The voice you're used to is much higher than this. But like, she's awful and she's delicious and I love her.
Awful and delicious is a wonderful way to describe Cruella de Vil. Well, that's why I loved when they did the Cruella movie, the live action. They still didn't make her redeemable, in my opinion. Like
they didn't, but I also stand by with that one. This is the hill that I will die on.
That's fine.
That is barely a Cruella de Vil movie. That is just a good movie, and they slapped her on there for brand recognition.
Media is subjective.
It's media subjective. You cannot fit that in the canon of either the animated or the live action. It doesn't fit. It's completely, it's its own retelling. So I stand by. They made a good movie, and they just made it Cruella de Vil for brand recognition, and I stand by this. But I had a point.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. That's the new merch line is I had a point. Hang on a second.
Yeah.
The evil isn't born, it's made it's a good through line. We see that in that scene very much. But what also brought up in that scene again was another rant Lauren wants to go down because I meant to mention this last week and I forgot. Well, kind of. In our notes, I just wrote Lauren wants to rant about evil charming and non-canon shipping for a moment.
Evil charming.
Evil charming is the ship of Regina and David. The chemistry is there. I'm sorry, but it is, and you'll see it again in 3 episodes. The chemistry is there.
I don't know how I feel about that.
It's, in my brain it works. That's all that matters. Is
my brain is not making that connection.
I mean, because it's like, again, you asked me what the weirdest ship was in episode 2 of in the second Once Upon a Time episode. You asked me what the weirdest ship is, and I said I don't have one because all of mine are weird, and also my weirdest one really requires characters you haven't met yet, so I can't even mention it. But my criteria is just, do the actors look attractive next to each other? Are they good friends? That's really it. There's not a whole lot of criteria there.
I think my problem is just like their actual characters and even the backstory with their characters. I'm sitting here and I'm like, my brain is not making that connection and I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, I mean, again, with the non-canon shipping, my brain basically erases canon. It doesn't really exist. And this is why I wanted to bring this up last week and I forgot, was because one of my favorite ships that I used to write in the RP community was Red Queen, which is the ship of Regina and Ruby.
I see it, but I see that. That makes sense.
But here's the thing. Now watching the season over again, they are never in the same frame. Like, very rarely are they ever in the same scene.
I mean, I'd watch that, though. Like, Red and... yes, please.
Yeah, I used to write that all the time. But, like, I went back, because every once in a while I'll go back and I'll watch, like, interview clips of some of the actors just to kind of farm for stories, basically. And one of them was from a convention at some point. And Megan Ori said, like, when they were recording, or when they were filming the first season, that, like, she really didn't get to see Lana in the Evil Queen get up. If she was in the same scene as her, it was usually in Storybrooke. Mm-hmm. So she didn't get to see, like, the Evil Queen get up every once in a while, or all the time. And one day she was kind of walking through, like, their trailer, setup. And Lana's walking out of her trailer in one of her Evil Queen outfits, and she just stops and goes, like, it's just like... I don't know,
Oh.
beguiled by the look by Lana in the Evil Queen outfit, and it's just really like the two of them again are very good
Mhm.
friends.
We
But
relate.
like
We relate.
we relate to this. But like looking at it, Regina and Ruby are not in the same scene very often. Like they don't have a whole lot of screen time.
Yeah.
So like the non-canon shipping really I really do reject your canon and substitute my own with this. I think the chemistry between Regina and David, I think it's in episode 19. I truthfully can never remember if it's in 19 or 20. But there's a scene that I know is, I think, where the shipping of it comes from for me, because I've
Ah.
definitely read fan fiction that is a continuation of what we see.
Okay. Well, I'll see how I feel about it then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna stick to Spoon Queen.
That's Spoon Queen is phenomenal, quite
It
frankly.
is.
And Dragon Queen is always my favorite. We know this. Mal and Regina.
Yeah.
It's just
There's dragon in it. How can I say no?
exactly, it works on so many levels. You can't tell me that didn't happen. Like again, I'm working with all of like my context, but still, you can't tell me that didn't happen.
Look, we have seen that Regina does not shy away from a hookup.
She does not. What she says going on with after this, like I highlighted just the next two notes I have are two highlighted lines of evil doesn't always look evil. Sometimes it's staring right at us. We don't even realize it. Like his thing of saying like you don't know much about evil, like she's literally trying to tell you.
She's really sitting there going, "Bitch, bet," just in a nicer way. Like
Like literally, she's really trying to just like
that's the nicest bitch please I've ever heard.
right. She's very subtle. She's very subtle
Yes.
about it. I love the scenes with Regina and her apples because there's so many of them this part of the season now that I'm thinking about it.
You mean the red delicious apples?
Hey, she didn't say what kind of apples they are.
This time.
She just eats them now.
I will die on that hill. I'm sorry.
I don't think they ever call them Honeycrisp apples
Thank
ever
God.
again. They just are the apples from her tree.
Because that was an interesting time.
I kind of want to say a line completely out of context that you're going to see soon, but I really just want to say it now because it has to do with an apple. How to get the savior to taste my forbidden fruit.
What?
No context. You're getting no context out of me.
Do I get an episode at least?
Episode 21.
Was that our two-parter?
That's our two-parter. Yeah, little sneak peek if you've made it this far into our podcast. We are doing basically season finale specials for Once Upon a Time because every other season has a two-part finale, and with our recording schedule, well, season one doesn't, but with our recording schedule, we would have watched and recorded the episode about 121 and Apple Red as Blood before our holiday break, and quite frankly, that just felt mean to do to Katie.
Please don't do that to me.
No, we're not doing that. So we are going to be doing basically extra long finale specials for every season, including season one.
Well, there's more to talk about with that. With the Bob's finale, it's a 20-something minute episode.
I mean, but we still managed to make that a full-length episode regardless.
Because I add in extras.
We have lots of fun conversations. My next line is just so relatable. When Emma, I guess, when she brings up the hunting knife, and Mary Margaret just goes, "Emma, I don't even know where the heating vent in my bedroom is." Like, so relatable.
I know where mine are, but it's because I have a toddler that likes to put things down vents.
See, I just have I have a radiator, so there isn't really like a vent system.
We don't have radiators here. It's not common. I think some people do. It's not common down here.
That makes sense. We've already established we are in two very different climate zones of this country.
Oh, yeah.
I did love this because we both watch with captions. I love that they literally put this in the captions. Is Rumpelstiltskin's "twuwov" is literally in the caption, and like he does that a lot. Like there's a scene in season 2, I think it's 204, where he's talking to someone. I'm not gonna give you any context, but there's a conversation. This is what seed that I have memorized. There's a conversation where person A goes to him like, "No, do we have a deal? Can we go all separate ways? Do you mean do I forgive you? Can I move on? Perhaps I can see you are truly in love." Like he's just so extra about it.
Well, it just made me think of Mel Brooks when he did that.
That's fair.
It really made me think of Mel Brooks. Which one was that one? Was that Robin Hood? Marriage or like the wedding. I think it was. Which one
What,
is that?
marriage is what brings us together today?
Yes.
That's
Which
The
one?
Princess Bride.
Oh, that isn't Mel Brooks. My God,
That's
I
not
was
Mel
having the
Brooks.
wrong connection. That's Princess Bride. I did not make the correct connection on that, but my brain is mush because I raised tiny humans.
Both of our brains are mush today. So, this is something I brought up, I think, in Fruit of the Poisonous Tree, and I stand by this question. Why is Regina going to the Summer Palace when it is snowing?
Because it's summer there? I don't know.
But in theory, the Summer Palace is somewhere built that maybe it's like built for warmer weather, so that maybe like I don't know what medieval insulation looks like, but
Mhm.
it's in theory probably built for nice times of year.
Yeah, but she's also in the tax bracket where summer is a verb.
This is
So
true. That she is.
we are not in that tax bracket here. We do not summer.
No, no, we do not.
We sweat.
Or sit in front of the air conditioning vents. Charming's like, no, you love me and I love you. Okay, Barney.
I
That's where
hate
my
Barney.
brain went.
I hate Barney, man.
Me too.
Oh.
100%. Before I get into our geology lesson, this was just my last funny line of the beer steins the beer stein that she replaces just really reminds me of the ones you can get from Epcot.
I've
Did Snow just go to Florida real quick?
I've never been.
Epcot is such an underrated Disney World park because I think people still think like Disney World kids. No.
Is that where people like drink a ton?
Well, that's my point. Is if it's built for kids, what is the point of that system? But like, because Disney World and Disneyland were built as a family,
Yes.
as a family fun place, meaning it is fun for the family. Yes, a lot of the rides are child friendly,
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of the kids can go on, but like they're built so that adults will fit on them comfortably as well. And then in the case of Disney World, you've got a lot of stuff that's made for adults. Like drinking around the world is very much a thing, and there's a very contentious system of where you should start because here's my Epcot lesson. This episode's gone off the rails. So Epcot, the World Showcase. Let's just stick with the World Showcase of Epcot. It's built of 11 country pavilions, like 11 main country pavilions. Let me say this
Mm-hmm.
because they do put up different things. I'm literally just going to pull up the Disney World map so that I do not get this wrong. But they go Mexico, Norway, China, Germany, Italy, America, Japan, Morocco, France, United Kingdom, and Canada. So there's a very contentious fight as to whether you should start in Mexico and go that way, which would be technically
Mm.
going left, technically, or if you should start in Canada and go that way, which would technically kind of be going right. I think starting either way is a recipe for inebriation after country number 2. Because Mexico, you've
Mm-hmm.
got the margaritas are
Of
fairly strong
course.
usually. Canada, not only their signature drink is the Ottawa apple, which is like a nice like cran apple whiskey drink. It's very nice. They also have a beer that's for some reason like 13% alcohol.
13%?
It's strong. I've had
Wow.
it once. I've had it once. Um, I call it the death beer. That's really the only way I can describe. I think the name has death in it in France, in French, in like French Canadian. I think one of our friends has suggested, and I don't disagree with them that this is probably a better way to do it. Is you start in France, so you start at the kind of the
Okay.
back, and then you work your way to the right. I believe is the way they said. So going from France to Morocco and going that way.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have some lower proof drinks first, and you'll end with the higher proof ones.
And then go to bed.
No, then you go on Soarin' about 3 times. You go on Frozen Ever After and get splashed for no reason. You go on Test Track and just do all these things. And Guardians of the Galaxy is new. I haven't been on that yet. Fun fact about the Frozen Ever After ride: fun Disney trivia. In addition to I will get to our geology lesson eventually.
I was gonna say, where's my geology?
The Frozen Ever After ride is in Norway. There has always been a ride track there. I don't know when they built the original ride, but originally there was a ride called Maelstrom, which was about the Norse gods. Yeah, that was there for a long time. I think up until probably the last 10 years.
Oh man.
I've been on it at least once or twice. When they switched it from Maelstrom to Frozen Ever After, they didn't change the track. So the track of the ride was still the same. They just changed the facade to be frozen and all that, which means that the Frozen Ever After ride goes backwards and then goes down a small flume for no particular reason. It fit the mode of Maelstrom. It fit the mood of Maelstrom. It doesn't fit Frozen Ever After. People just get splashed a lot more than they expect to on a Frozen ride.
I have no words, but Maelstrom sounds
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yeah. So given where we are with time, how about we do stats and I will end us with our geology lesson.
That sounds like a wonderful idea.
I think that's a great way to end this episode with I don't know how many tangents that didn't make any sense that ended in Disney World.
What do you think my score is?
I think you gave this 9s across the board.
I gave it 10s across the board. This
This
is a
is wait, is this your
30.
first this is your
No,
second 30.
second 30.
Okay.
I really loved this episode
Mm-hmm.
because it made me feel things.
Evil stuff.
I have a type.
Mm-hmm.
We have definitely solidified that. I like mean women, especially when they're taller than me, but that's not hard to get.
Yeah. Even at 5'6", I think Ginny's taller than you.
Yeah. Who isn't? Okay, only one person I know of who isn't taller than me, and that is your girlfriend.
This is true.
I am 5 foot.
And my girlfriend is 4'11".
I cannot wait to hug her one day. But no, I did. I gave this 30. It had Leroy. We had some wonderful lines, like the banter, like so much of it was it. I couldn't find anything wrong with it personally, because I know you're probably about to have a list of what's wrong with it.
No, I really don't have a list of what's wrong with it. I mean, Evil Snow. I mean, I'm very happy you like Evil Snow. You will see a different facet of Evil Snow in multiple different ways.
I like it many ways, so that's okay.
Yeah. There's different ways of like sassy Snow White or just kind of evil Snow White not really caring anymore. And I think both of the ones that I'm thinking of off the top of my head are in season 4. So unfortunately for you, it will take until sometime in 2024.
Look, I've told you, this just has solidified our friendship for a amount of years. You are stuck with me.
You're just stuck with me for 3 years.
I might extend that. I might extend that.
But yeah, so you'll see multiple versions of evil Snow White, come to think of it, in the future. So I gave this one 9s across the board. Because this is a 27. It is a solid episode. I like it. It's entertaining. It's a lot of plot. It's a lot of cool stuff. As we said before, Evil Snow is really entertaining to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I can't quantify what it is, much like I can't quantify like the thing I always say about people's voices. Like, the thing that latches in my brain, I know it when I hear it and I know when I expect to hear it and I don't, but I can't really tell you what the difference is. There's just something about this episode that stops it from being a 30.
Okay.
I don't because
it's really balanced too between
it's
Fairy
a
Tale
really
Land
episode.
and Storybrooke. It's very balanced.
Yeah. Like compared to my other 30s though, like it's just not quite there.
Okay.
But I could not quantify for you what that is or qualify for
is
that.
Is it having to listen to Rumpelstiltskin?
No, not really. He's not he's not in enough of this.
That's fair.
Because was he? Actually, I'm trying to think. Was he in 7:15 a.m.? Yeah, he was. He was actually fairly heavily featured in that one.
Yeah.
So it didn't have anything to do with him. I can't quite quantify. So I can't quite qualify what it is about this episode that keeps it from being a 30. It's just not quite at the level of my 30s. Is all I can say. So it gets 9s across the board, which is still a very good score. It's the same. It's 27. It's the same score as last time. Just last time had a 10 in there.
That's fair.
So that's that. And now that I've been teasing this for the past 30 minutes, my geology lesson.
Say, what are we doing with geology?
So Snow's line when she basically mugs the guard for his outfit that she doesn't end up using. She uses the cloak, I think, but not his guard uniform. That she says that a diamond is the strongest substance known to man or beast, and a dwarf pickaxe can actually cut a diamond. Mm-hmm. So I wrote, I know these are magic diamonds, but are diamonds really the strongest mineral we have? So I looked it up. Because I can't, much like wolves in Storybrooke, I can't let these small things go sometimes. Mm-hmm. So according to an article I found put out by the University of Melbourne, it is the strongest naturally occurring substance that we have. However, it is not the strongest substance on Earth. The other two are just laboratory grown. So we have two slightly harder substances, a laboratory synthetic nanomaterial called wurtzite boron nitride.
Okay.
And a substance that's found in meteorites called lonsdaleite, I'm guessing is how you say that. I don't know. So something that's laboratory grown and something found in space.
Science.
Science. So I was like, diamonds are the strongest naturally occurring substance on this planet. And then I wrote down after that, wow, we talk about geology on this podcast a lot.
Why?
I don't, because mining, and like I bring the science into this. I realize because
I love
not
it.
just not just geology, but also like animal science as well. Because I did look up, I looked up wolves, I looked up doves. I came up with I didn't come up with, but my favorite soundbite. I think this might be my favorite soundbite is while cool is ornithologically inaccurate. I don't know why I really like saying that.
I think you just like the word I now can't say it. Ornithological.
I like saying ornithological, and I feel very proud of myself that I can say it.
Yeah, because apparently I couldn't.
But yeah, so geology. Science is fun.
Science is fun.
Science is cool. Bill Nye the Science Guy.
That's where my brain went. Bill. Thank you all for listening. Join us next time when we discuss Bob's Burgers Season 3, Episode 7, Tina Ranosaurus Rex, and Episode 8, The Unbearable Likeness of Gene. Don't forget to like, rate, and follow the podcast wherever you listen so you can be notified every time we publish a new episode. And follow us at OBDYK_pod on Instagram and TikTok.
This has been an episode of Okay, But Did You Know? A TV and media podcast. It was hosted by Lauren and Katie and edited by Lauren.